straight out the gates. Pepinero is not going to be able to assassinate anyone's here.
With Werlyb looking so good on Hecarim earlier today, that's another ban suddenly. And normally you would look at LeBlanc, Twisted Fate, Jax against Giants. Now Hecarim has to be considered in there for MeetYourMakers unless they want a first pick. One of the champions, I could see them leave LeBlanc open and take that as the first pick. Seems like they're not even gonna ban the likes of a Jax, Diana being banned. I didn't really think that was too important. Pepinero had an okay game on it, but it was more about Werlyb on this Hecarim here, destroying people left and right.
Well, let's find out what Werlyb gets his hands on. Jax still available. Lulu taken off the table. That Juggernaut-style composition, not likely. And of course, removing Noxiak's Leona is going to be very important.
Okay.
Rydle, no Annie. But Jax is up. Maybe they're trying to bait it.
Jwaow is a Jax player, but yeah, they can also bait it. And whenever Giants play Jax, you know what the strategy is going to be. Camp for the top lane, get Werlyb ahead so you can become a split pushing monster. And you can play around that fairly easily. You can like counter gank it, or you can just yourself play super safe and then get advantage elsewhere on the map. Because if you know the jungler is going to be on the top side, you just go and gank the bottom lane. And we know MrRalleZ has been a fantastic AD carry ever since Noxiak joined. I'm quite happy Leona's banned away from him. I feel like he picks it no matter what, and sometimes it even backfires for MeetYourMakers, so I think he's going to be happy about that ban.
Well, we'll have to see whether or not he can perform. He's played Braum in the past, and we'll see what he decides to fall back to. First pick was Sejuani. Safe in the jungle, Nidalee still up, Rek'Sai still up. Frederick's played a fair amount of Rek'Sai.
Yeah, but if you notice MYM on 5.5, it's always double tank. Horo talked about how Nidalee is still good, but risky. If you make one mistake, if you fall behind in the early game, you're out of the game. The double tank, they scale into late game. They had the Gragas in the last game, now Sejuani in this one. Werlyb has to decide Hecarim or Jax. Which one do I want to try and carry on here? I'd gone for Hecarim, 100%.
I agree with you there. Defisho, Hecarim has seemed to be more successful. The fact it's teleport ignite makes me think it's going to still be the Hecarim.
There it is.
And Pepinero getting his hands onto that Ahri, his tried and true. Had some great plays roaming in the past.
Yeah, but LeBlanc is open. And
Kori went huge with it earlier today.
Whenever we see that here in Europe, this matchup, Ahri into LeBlanc has all the advantage early on, and they tend to use it to snowball Febiven into Froggen. That was a very one-sided matchup in favor of Febiven and Fnatic in that case in this LeBlanc-Ahri matchup here. Of course, Febiven on the LeBlanc. So that could be an option for Kori. Victor is, of course, disabled here in 5.5, so he won't be able to pick that one, even though he's looked really good on it. And you can also just go for a completely different champion.
Well, Picks and Bans has gone the opposite direction of anything that we had expected. I do, however, fear the potential of that Glacial Prison plus Petrifying Gaze. There is so much AoE CC that can come down from MeetYourMakers. And we'll see whether or not they can make it work. The scary thing is, can they handle the flanking power pony?
And that's the big question here, because a home guard TP Hecarim can almost one-shot a Cassiopeia in the start of a fight. We saw how Giants played with it earlier today, where they always managed to have at least 1 or 2 wards around the dragon. Then they started the fight, he waited in base, he TP'd in, and he just one-shot a carry. That was, of course, against the Copenhagen Wolves. MYM cannot get into that situation where they can't see where the TP is coming from, so they cannot block it. Again, what you do is when Hecarim TP's in, you have your big tank charging it towards him. This stops the home guard so he doesn't get that extra damage. And then he can't really one-shot your carries.
Well, Giants lock in Sivir and Thresh. They've got the flavor of the team composition that beat Copenhagen Wolves earlier today. Mobility, aggression, engage with Leona and Annie off the table. Rydle's going to be looking for those death sentences to set up the fights. Who do they lock in as their jungler? Will it be Rek'Sai? Will it be Jarvan? Will it be something different? That's the final question Giants will have to answer.
Rek'Sai would be fine here for them. They have enough engage already, so that gives them a very good early game they can use to snowball, because there's a very mid-game focused composition with the Ahri, with the Hecarim, of course. But MeetYourMakers, they tend to do the same. They got the Graves already. They, of course, have fantastic late-game scaling in the mid lane. I would prefer a Maokai coming in for Jwaow. I think he's been very good on that champion, and he's not been a carry type very often for MeetYourMakers. He can play that style, and he has had some good games on Irelia, on Fizz. I do still feel like Maokai has been his best pick in that top lane, and when they run this double tank, that's normally when MeetYourMakers performs really well. But clearly, he wants Irelia into Hecarim, despite that matchup often being regarded as a bit of a matchup in favor of Hecarim, because you can stand on the minions. So Irelia is not able to jump the minion with Q, get to you and stun you, and then have the second Q for when you try and run away. You can just stand on these minions all the time. She will always Q you, and then you just run away from her if you don't want to take that one-on-one fight. But we're going to have to see how it plays out. Jwaow, of course, is a fantastic Irelia player.
A little bit of doubt creeping into Divisio's voice when it comes to the MeetYourMakers team composition.
I just feel like when you run double tank so often and it works so well for you, why go away from it? And Maokai as well is so strong here. Whenever Hecarim engages in, Maokai dives into the backline of Giants, locks down to Sivir, lock down an Ahri who's jumping around with just Twisted Advance onto him, and you can suddenly blow him up. So I feel like Maokai would have been a better pick.
Well, for MeetYourMakers, Noxiak is the only really predictable one in the lot. He does default to Braum, seeing as though Leona was taken off the table. We thought it was going to be a Rek'Sai for Frederick. He has, however, continued the theme of engage, and it is Vi in the jungle. Diamond, the only other real EU jungler, falling back to Vi. But for Giants, it's just all in all the time.
It's the same kind of setup. If MYM goes into an objective, let's say the Dragon, and don't have proper wards down beforehand, Giants will find the TP to get into the flank. They will have the Vi charging onto the backline. There's only a Braum and then the Cassiopeia ulti to defend yourself. Otherwise, MrRalleZ and Kori, they're on their own in that sense. Irelia's going to dive in. Sejuani's going to dive in. These two carries have to position themselves so perfectly. Otherwise, Giants is going to blow them up instantly.
Difficult situation for MeetYourMakers. Kori, if anyone's going to do it, it's going to be Kori, because even in their losses, this is a mid laner who has shined. He has shown he can position correctly. He can flank correctly. I incorrectly said he played LeBlanc earlier today. He played Ahri, in fact. And his flanking was absolutely phenomenal. He was always in the right place at the right time. I'm not going to have that same freedom on a Cassiopeia.
Oh, no.
But we'll have to see what he can do. Guys, at home, for one last time in the regular season, which team will be advancing to the promotion tournament, or which team will be going to the Challenger Series? Hashtag MYM win. Hashtag GIA win. We'll see what you guys think in game.
Why am I doing this?
You're as nervous as the players are.
Kind of nervous here. I mean, the fact that the loser is out of the LCS. Scary things for the players here. I mean, you think promotion tournament is scary, but that's the best out of 5. So even if you lose one game, you're like, okay, guys, we can still, come back here. We can still win and get into the LCS. That won't happen for one of these teams.
It won't, but the thing you do have to call out, yes, it is a difficult situation to be in a best of 1 to defend your spot, but this is the 19th best of 1. This is,
of course, you had 18 games to get here.
A season that's been fraught with frustration and difficulties for both teams on and off the rift.
Just very different approach, though, from the teams. MYM came in, and people expected him to do fairly well, because they showed some good games last year when they had Kori, when they had MrRalleZ, they had MYM in the start as well. So,
advantage Giants.
You can very often talk about it. Was it right to kick Kissing and Impaler for them? I mean, obviously Kissing is doing so well on H2K now, but people still expect MYM to do well. People looked at Giants and said, okay, they're going to be a bottom team. They're the last team to qualify for the LCS. They came in and said, we're not expecting anything. We just heard Werlyb here before say we came in and thought we were going to lose everything. And then they won 2 games in the start. So it's been very different, the expectations before the split. And of course, MYM has had 99 problems. Now, Giants might be one of them.
I have nothing to follow that up. That was beautiful.
Really? Thank you.
History teacher Divicio laying down the wrap. So, take a look at this. Head-to-head lanes. It looks like, as we can see, Rydle and Adryh, they want to interrupt the Krug's attempt by Noxiak and MrRalleZ, and it looks like they will at least stop the big Krug.
Yeah, MrRalleZ got the small one, so that's 1 minion less he needs before he hits level 2. Let's see if that's going to matter anything, or if Giants can manage to get a push rolling here.
Well, we'll find out. Adryh with some very fast auto attacks already. MrRalleZ and Noxiak backing away from those minions. If you take a look at the top lane, Werlyb is already in lane farming, where Jwaow is doing a camp and just starting to back, so a little bit of extra time alone in lane.
A little bit different start. Wicked started with flask on Irelia and then didn't buy any items early on. Then he did the camp, he got a ward, he got a few potions. Jwaow here starting Doran's base, so he's definitely looking to play aggressive in the laning phase. Gonna get out-sustained by the Hecarim, however, but confident he can take some better trades. And of course, because the Wolf camp takes quite a while for Irelia, Werlyb managed to push and get level 2 before the TP came in.
Alright, jungle clearing as best he can. A little bit low in contrast to Frederick. Shield Vi gonna do some work. Buff to blue, and on the other side, Horo blue buff to red.
Yeah, and it's really fun again that MYM goes with Irelia now when it really matters. Because I was looking at like damage done for the entire team. And it's very standard, you have about 22-23% damage from the top laner, and Kori doing a lot of damage here, forcing a flash, but that's standard, like around 22% from the top laner. Jwaow has the lowest amount of damage of any top laner in the LCS compared to the rest of his team. He's only doing like 16% because he's playing these big tanks often. And then they anyway swap him away from it, put him on Irelia, really say, we know you can be a carry. So clearly trusting a lot in Jwaow, who obviously joined mid-season, replacing Mimer, who still, I believe, works with the team as an assistant. Or
there was ever a time to make something happen. It is in the tiebreaker scenario. Kori with a very early advantage in that middle lane. 2 utility summoners in that Ghost and Flash, already forcing Pepinero to back early. Double Dorans for both of their respective lanes, and we did catch a glimpse there of the trading between Adryh and Rydle. It seems that early pushing, favoring Adryh. He's got himself a small CS advantage, but of course that is a testament to the lane setup. Noxiak not going to offer a whole lot low level against Thresh.
No, and against Sivir as well, who has the spell shield to block. Basically the only way of engaging as a Braum onto her, connecting that Q in the start. Kori still, as you said, controlling this lane is going to be so important in this game. If he dodges around the main engage from Giants, then he will be able to destroy them. But that's going to be tough when you're against a Hecarim, a Vi, Sivir buffing up the team.
Well, I think all of that space and assistance from the rest of Giants is going to be needed. Pepinero took a long time to get to confident levels of plays throughout the split. It was only really in the last 2 or 3 weeks that he really started to shine and outperform. And he's not started well. Whether or not that doubt will creep into his mind, we'll see in a minute or two. Horo and Frederick almost run into each other. Noxiak is going to eat that death sentence, but nothing further. And again, just a little bit of control for Giants' bottom lane, which I think is important, considering how Noxiak had been the game changer for MeetYourMakers.
And also because Adryh and Rydle has really struggled, or have struggled in the laning phase. If you look at the last few games they've played, them doing well is a good thing, because it also means Frederick don't have to worry about the bottom lane, and he can look towards Werlyb, who is playing a carry top laner again. If you get that early Trinity Force on Hecarim, he can really win games for you. So I like how Frederick is putting his focus around the soul laners.
Good play.
MrRalleZ taking quite some damage. 300
HP on Ralls.
No potion for him. Adryh just popped his now, so definitely an HP advantage for them. Horo's setting up for counter gank here. It's going in on Frederick.
Well, Kori's going to throw the poison out, and Frederick instantly flashes to safety. Another summoner spell blown, thanks to Kori's Cassio. Noxiak eats another death sentence. Just looks like he's doing it on purpose now. 13 CS down. MrRalleZ has got a couple in front of him, but starting to feel the pinch is Rydle and Adryh. Still got some mana to play with. Rydle still with that biscuit to nom on. But no more sustain from either of the AD carries. Any more poke? It's going to put them in summoner heal range.
Yeah, and that's so scary because Giants can then come down with Frederick, or they might not even need it, but if they're forced by MYM, they can start a fast dragon for themselves. And what they did earlier today against the Copenhagen Wolves was getting these early dragons and then play around going towards 5 dragons and keep forcing team fights. Because if you force them to fight around a dragon, you can place these deep wards behind it in the enemy jungle, and that sets up these teleports so well for Hecarim. So if Giants gets in that position where they start forcing fights on MYM, that's where it becomes really tough. Frederick now, he might start this dragon. TP already used, but you can see the bottom lane is pushing completely. RallyZ is not going to be able to join. He's out of mana. He's down to 50% HP. So this could be a free dragon for Giants.
Definitely looks to be that case with Horo moving
Jwaow
north and Jwaow top. So fairly smart decision here from Giants. Going to grab the first map objective of the game despite the fact their lanes have had some mixed results. Even top, falling behind middle, advantage bottom. And we'll see whose strengths will shine through as the game continues to progress.
Bot lane advantage was all they needed to take the dragon. MrRalleZ has been able to get near the 55 CS mark, which is what you need if you get every single one for the BF sword. Very important for him on this Graves. So while, yes, he's falling behind, yes, he gave that first dragon, it's not the end of the world for him.
Definitely not.
Let's just see what the tower is on, because they've been pushing it down a few times, only take a little bit of damage. So let's ignore that one.
It doesn't really look like Adryh and Rydle have been focusing the tower, to be fair. Every time we catch a glimpse of, they just seem to be trying to poke MrRalleZ and Noxiak. Trying to just keep them low. Horo's got access to that Glacial Prison. Petrifying Gaze up for Kori as well. Pepinero still got that flash, but the Battle Pig moving his way into the jungle. Red buff just secured there by Frederick in the last second, so nothing gained for MYM.
Horo has done a very good job playing around the pink wards on the top side. He defends his own one in the bush here next to the mid lane, and now he cleared the one from Giants. So small advantage for MYM here, and that will make it a bit harder for Frederick to find the right gank, because there's a higher chance of him getting counter-ganked. He's not spotted yet, I believe, on this top side. But, oh, he might have been, because there's a ward in the tri-bush, and Horo's already sitting ready. Let's see if Jwaow can bait this one.
So both that respective top laners junglers with their ultis.
Remember, once a Vi's probably ultimate gone in, she's not going to get out again. Like, she's going to be stuck in there, and that's where MYM can turn around and kill her if Giants goes for anything. But Frederick might just sit here and wait for a gank himself and be like, I'm going to counter gank as well, and then nothing is really going to happen from it.
It feels like both of these junglers are reading their opponents relatively well. How deep does Jwaow go? He's going to stop moving into lane. Horo is going to be in range. This is going to turn into a 2v2.
There you go.
Breaker's being charged up. Werly's going to jump in. He's dashed in. Jwaow, Transcendent Blades is out, and Frederick's chasing. Onslaught of Shadows is out. Jwaow is down low.
Frederick.
Giants are going to get first blood. It goes to Frederick, but he's going low. Horo is trying to get a kill back. Down to 110 HP as Kori flashes. He's got one. Petrifying Gaze slows Werlyb. He's throwing out the Twin Fangs. He's got the red buff to slow, and the poison and the ticking is going to be a double kill. 1 for 2. Kori has arrived.
That was very important. We saw how Jwaow, he was trying to bait this one, but I think he got caught a little bit off guard. Had to run down the river and flash over the wall. We didn't really get to see him collapse on Frederick. It didn't matter in the end because Kori was running from the mid lane, and lane has been winning since level 1, basically. Noxiak here taking a lot of damage.
Eats another death sentence. Exhaust trade back and forth. Noxiak is low. One more auto attack secures the kill. MrRalleZ, can he get Adryh? The answer is yes. Turns his attention to Rydle. They've traded AD carry for AD carry, and Rydle has got enough HP to escape as well as summon a flash. But they trade kill for kill.
Very important place here. MrRalleZ got that kill. He can now push in the wave while Adryh is dead, and he can at least deny some CS as well. Frederick might want to do something. He has no ulti though in his bottom lane.
Well,
that roam from Kori, getting that double kill, already winning his lane. That is so important for MeetYourMakers.
Well, Lib continues to trade with Jwaow. He's going to eat an Equilibrium Strike. He needs to throw out that spam. This is a matchup that Jwaow is doing relatively well. Don't know what else you're really going to call Hecarim Q. This is non-stop. But every time we look top, Jwaow seems to be coming out ahead in those trades.
At least very close, but the big difference is going to be more the team fighting impact. And that's where Hecarim is going to do so much more if he gets off a good teleport for Werlyb. And he can also speed back into his lane. So yeah, going standard route, early home guards, and then you go for Phage, so you get even more speed, which gives you more damage.
I think our observers are fans of Robot Unicorn Attack, because every single time this skin on Hecarim with home guard runs out of base, we follow it.
Yeah, we just need more Rammus.
That's fine, it's good, I like it.
We need Rammus with home guard, Powerball.
So let's take stock of the situation, Deficio. 12 minutes on the clock, 600 gold advantage to MYM. Dragon 1 went to Giants after the advantages Adryh and Rydle had garnered. If you look at CS, small lead for Kori. Pepinero was able to farm his way back up, but obviously 2 kills for the Cassio.
Yeah.
Adryh's small advantage, not growing, it's remained at the same level. And look at this, jungler for jungler in the same spots. I think Frederick avoided the vision though.
They're once again reading each other here. No ward in the side bush. They're going in. Horror's here.
The flash flame. Noxiak eats the death sentence. The Sultan battery comes down. Early teleport coming up for Werlyb, but is it going to be enough? Adryh is in full retreat. That's 2 kills for MYM as Werlyb is caught between 4 members of MeetYourMakers. Boomerang Blade is out. It's not enough. A 3-for-1 trade, and Kori is not done yet.
Looking for more. Yeah, Adryh is under his tower. Might be safe here. Kori also has to worry about this mid lane where Pepinero is pushing. But we talked about how once Vi goes in, she's going to stay there. She's not getting out again. MYM with the counter gank. TP came in from Jwaow as well. They turn it around completely. 2 kills from MrRalleZ now. Catching up in farm as well. Very, very good plays for MeetYourMakers. Reading where Frederick is going and always ready to counter gank it. Yes, that is once again Hecarim with homewards.
So Giants now fall behind. 1,500 gold from 1 team fight. Touched on the team fight presence of that Hecarim. I don't really know if that counts as a team fight or a gank, really, but unfortunately it was not enough to engage over that Glacial Fissure from Noxiak's Braum. Pink ward down for Rydle as the dragon spawns. Look at the positioning. No TPs for either top laner. Pepinero's on the opposite side of MeetYourMakers. I feel like MYM should be able to get control of this river, although they don't have MrRalleZ.
It is in favor of them if both top laners stay top lane because of the importance of Hecarim here and because Kori is so far ahead already on this Cassiopeia. He's even gotten to go Rod of Ages. There's been basically zero pressure on him in the lane. So gone very early for that one, getting it stacking. You can see MeetYourMakers have gotten control around the dragon. If they do find out the Giants are doing this blue buff, that's going to be a free dragon. But for now, I don't think there's any wards spotting this. It's a quick little turnaround and a nice little play from Giants.
So, safe play from MYM. That allows Pepinero to steal that blue buff. Werlyb clears the entire camp. We'll get the timer on it. I don't know if Horo actually stole the blue himself. First one coming out of the jungle, but we'll have a look at that in a second as Jwaow is going to land that Equilibrium Strike and put some more pain down into Werlyb. Teleport still nowhere near, and nor is Giants, so this should be an MYM Dragon.
Yeah, again, even if Giants moves in, they're going to be weak in the 4 versus 4 because of how far ahead Kori is already, and how strong he's going to be in these early fights. And Cassiopeia, she's one of those champions that is fantastic late game, but she's not weak in the laning phase. She's not weak in the mid game. She has good damage output pretty much all game long. So Giants decide to just back away from this one, yeah.
And you see Pepinero, because he stole that blue buff, Frederick secures his own, in fact. So a little bit of an advantage to Giants, but they're still down in gold. Every aggressive play Giants have made has been countered. The dive top onto Jwaow and Horo results in a double kill for Kori. The dive bottom into everyone from MYM results in a double kill for MrRalleZ. So Giants have to be very careful to give up all that golden kills. And this time around, Horo is in the bottom lane and there's no support from Frederick. We do see the Glacial Fissure land, the Glacial Prison connects, there's Glacial everything. As MrRalleZ gets his 3rd of the game, Adryh gets exhausted, they're tower diving this one. Horo's got the aggro and Adryh's going to be able to get away. Reply kill in the top lane, Onslaught of Shadows was in fact used by Werlyb, but nothing else from the Giants, and a minion wave just pushes to the tower. So another kill to MYM in the bottom lane.
Yeah, most likely tower as well. Will be tower for them. So MYM once again coming out ahead in these plays. And it's fun because earlier this split here, before Noxiak joined, we never really saw MeetYourMakers respond in terms of counter ganks. We never really saw them have a plan. And once he's joined and once it seems like everyone just have more confidence and been obviously doing a lot better in practice, they suddenly read the map so much better. With Jwaow now, he's a little bit on his own up here. There's not going to be too much help. Rydle and Pepinero moving from the mid lane as well. It's going to be a 1v4. Oh, yeah.
He's going to try and flash away. There's so many people coming up. I think Jwaow's going to die. That's my professional opinion. It was a really difficult prediction to make.
It was.
But Giants invested a lot of time, a lot of resources.
Yeah, but the good thing for Giants was, if you look at the map, nothing in the bottom lane. Tower's already gone, so that's really not any lane where they can lose anything. In the mid lane as well, Pepinero and Rydle had already sat there and killed the wave. So there was 0 lanes MYM could pressure while you went for top lane. And that's why it was just basically a free kill and a flash forced from Jwaow. So good little play from Giants there. Not the first time to try and gank him.
And with the fact that Giants were able to take that top tower a few minutes ago, they're still in touching distance of gold. 1,000 only the difference. Trinity Force completed for Werlyb, as well as those home guards, ahead of Jwaow, who's actually gone for the Berserker's Greaves. If you ever wanted to see carry top laner, we do see the first trinket upgrade was on Jwaow. The fact that he lost that tower. And now we settle ourselves into the rotation game. External towers still available, top and middle for Giants, middle and bottom for MYM. We'll see who decides to focus which one first. You have to feel Giants are going to go bottom lane with Dragon coming up in the not too distant future.
Yeah, that's definitely going to be the focus for them. Mid lane, Kori can sit and defend fairly easily. MYM doesn't really have any easy way of clearing the waves. It's going to be quite a few hits from Kori. MrRalleZ needs to really position himself correctly to hit the entire wave with buckshot as well. So it does mean Giants can get some hits on these towers here. And if they force MYM to sit in the mid lane, they can go bottom lane after, follow the wave in, get some hits on that tower as well. And that's how they can play around MeetYourMakers now. Obviously not going to be too easy whenever MYM is defending. And the bottom lane is not really pushing for Giants, so they got to send down Adryh and push that one in. And MYM obviously have to respond with MrRalleZ doing exactly the same thing. We might just have to wait for Dragon before we see the next big fight.
Looks to be the case. Earlier today, MeetYourMakers played exactly that same style. Slow and steady to take out Rocket. Giants as well. Great team fights in that game against the Copenhagen Wolves. Been less successful in the opening 20 minutes, but I think Giants have realized that. You haven't seen that same diving all-ins like we saw earlier in the match.
Well, that's very true. And now the key thing is going to be who can get to that Dragon first and start setting up vision. It's boring, but it's the important part. If you don't time your recalls correctly, let's say you delay your recalls for another minute, then you open up for the enemy team to walk in and place the wards while you're back in base. That's why MYM is recalling this early. You can see Noxiak is back in base, Jwaow as well. You get the pink wards, you get the item you need, and then you start moving in around now, and you fight for this area. Because as we mentioned, if Hecarim doesn't have any ward he can teleport to for a flank, it's very hard for Werlyb to get the right engage, and that's what MYM needs. They have to get in there first, not allow Giants to completely set up the area. For now, it is in control, I guess, in terms of the pink ward, but none of the teams really invested anything around the Dragon yet. And there's still 1,000 gold on Pepinero and Adryh, so the two carries hasn't gone back yet.
It's important to note because there's still 1,000 gold down. You factor in the unspent gold, and that lead gets a little bit higher. Important items completed in the last few minutes. Jwaow with that Trinity Force, Righteous Glory picked up for Horo. So if a fight were to break out, Sejuani plus Righteous plus Glacial Prison is a scary, scary initiation tool. With Dragon up in 30 seconds, you could see Giants, they're backing away.
Very late, so MYM now should see an opening to get into this Dragon here. Clear that one pink ward, place a few wards near the blue buff of Giants, so they suddenly have the TP advantage where Jwaow can come in from the side or from behind. But it looks like they're just staying in the lanes for now. Despite so many members of Giants backing away from the Dragon, even going back to base. No response yet from MeetYourMakers.
Difficult decision to make.
Ping 8 now. Okay, there we go.
One mistake, one team fight can be all the difference. Noxiak trying to clear out a ward, does get eaten by Death Sentence, but there's that vision control in the pit for MYM that plays into their favor, especially against that flanking Hecarim. 0
wards behind the Dragon now from Giants, which means Werlyb either has to TP to the mid, or this ward they just placed here near the entrance. MYM is going to see that teleport. They can place Horo right in front of him, stop the home guards, and suddenly you remove a lot of the damage from the Hecarim, and your carries can easily position around where the TP is coming. That's going to be the key one. That's also why MYM keeps backing away and look for wards around with the sweepers behind the Dragon pit. But they have kind of given up the open area.
All of a sudden, Giants are able to get some wards in the river. MYM backed away. Werlyb heading to the top lane while Jwaow continues to push the minion waves in. Adryh's down in the bottom lane. The rest of Giants trying to fend off those minions middle. We're still standing 1 tower to 1, 1 Dragon to 1. 1,000 gold separates these teams. And you can really, really feel the tension between these two squads. Neither one is committing to anything that's even remotely risky.
Oh, it's even harder for MYM now, as they just gave Giants the entire Dragon area. Even the 2 pink wards behind the warning line from Giants means there's really no way for Jwaow to TP in for a flank. And you even see them push mid lane. Now, Kori just recalled. So this mid lane tower is going to take a lot of damage. They might even try and force something on Jwaow.
Pepinero is going to Spirit Rush in. Charm does not connect. Jwaw's able to get away, but Frederick goes way deep. He's forced to try flash away. Does take the Lantern to safety. Tower secured by Pepinero. The box is in a decent spot, but the Glacial Fissure is going to slow everyone from Giants down. Onslaught of Shadows not going to be enough, and Werlyb gets sent to the Death Chamber. Death Sentence connects, but that's going to be almost a double kill. MrRalleZ is now in turret range. Place of the Mountain Shield keeps him alive, but unable to secure the kills. Giants went way too deep and get punished for it.
Frederick ran past the tower to dive in while the rest of his team had already backed away. Should be Dragon as well now for MeetYourMakers. So despite losing the Vision War around it, they get the kills, they get mid tower, and they get the third Dragon of the game. 2 for them, 1 for Giants. That was a massive play. And Giants just going a little bit too ham. Not the first time Frederick has been diving in on this Vi here and being punished for it.
All of a sudden, MYM regained control. You know, every single time Giants have made a play, it's been overly optimistic.
And really all Giants had to do was push that mid lane once Kori was back and then just go straight back down to this Dragon. You had everything around it you needed to force a team fight. You didn't need to dive into the enemy jungle between the towers. They're gonna regret that one. Still have TP home guard for Werlyb, but there's simply no objective now to force it around.
Yeah, still TP sitting on Jwaw's side as well. 2 towers to 2. Both of those mid lanes went down during the last exchanges. Pepinero on this Ahri, yes, he's farming well, but he's not been impactful. He's been reeling from Kori in lane, unable to make a big play. Gonna get some uncontested time on this tower. May even be able to take it out, actually. But he needs to find the right engage, the proper flanks. The previous fight, Jwaow was dipping and ducking and diving so much that even Pepinero couldn't get the damage down. That may have actually baited Frederick into the engage.
Oh, here's the Lantern. It's the Baron on the way out. All right, Noxiak, though, might be looking for another fight. Let's see what the strategy is going to be for MYM. They still have that top outer turret. You can just put Irelia up there and then quickly send up your AD carry, and that tower is going to go down. There's nothing for you to lose on the bottom side of the map, as long as this wave near the tier 2 tower gets pushed out. Werlyb can teleport to defend, but you really don't want to do that at this part of the game. You need that teleport for the big team fights. You will just run out and defend it. So last outer turret up there. Easy target for MeetYourMakers. Otherwise, again, we sit in a situation where we just might wait for dragons to spawn before the teams have a clear-cut objective they want to go for and start fighting around.
And the later this game goes, the scarier those team fights become. Despite the fact that MYM have won the major engages, Giants are actually ahead in towers. They're still only 1,000 gold down. That is not a lot of money. Farm is still very, very good across the board for these teams.
Yeah, it's really going to come down to these big team fights now.
Yeah.
Can MYM survive the main engage from Giants and then simply have way more damage after? I mean, Kori's going to wreck faces if he doesn't die instantly in the fight. Giants cannot keep up with that kind of sustained damage. So the question is really, can MYM disengage at first or get the jump on Giants? If you get the jump on a Hecarim and he doesn't get to use his TP, then he's going to be a lot weaker than before. And then you got some decent engage. I mean, you got the Sejuani ulti you can use. But mainly it's going to be about kiting at first for MeetYourMakers, avoid the main engage, and then you turn it around once Kori, hopefully for them, has survived.
Well, MYM seem to be playing the reactive team fight position. We've not actually seen them set up anything massive themselves. They've just been punishing Giants for the very, very sort of linear team composition that Giants have put together. Could be a inspired pick and ban from MYM because of the counter-engage options that they do have available to them. Let's see what happens. Giants shoving out that middle lane. They are grouped up, were grouped up rather. Frederick backed off. And MYM, I mean, MYM aren't even pushing the top tower. MYM are playing so defensive. I feel like they're just waiting for Giants to make a mistake.
Basically, yeah.
Which is fine because it's worked for them thus far. But it is a scary prospect if Giants ever find that the correct engage.
Yeah, it's always risky if you allow the other team to be the proactive one and always the one deciding where to go, because that's how you suddenly get baited into a bad fight, and yeah, a flank happens and you just end up dying.
And that's how GE Tigers got beat by Team WE.
I guess, yeah. Now we have Giants MYM. Probably not exactly the same, but for these two teams.
Their lives in the tournament are on the line.
That is true, that's the same. Who's world elite here, Trevor?
Well, it has to be the team with Hecarim.
That's true.
So, Giants cosplaying Team WE. Pepinero definitely not living up to the legend that was Shia in the mid lane.
Not yet.
But not yet. Okay, well played. Good save. Good save. But we are digressing a little bit. But again, it is true. There's like a spot in the LCS. That's it. That's why these teams are playing so safe, playing so scared.
It is. And Giants has honestly been punished whenever they tried to make a play, even though that's what they have to do with the way with the composition. They've been punished every time, and that really makes you nervous because you start losing confidence. Now, MYM is going to try and go for a pick in the top lane. Giants doing the same mid.
They've caught MrRalleZ. Exhaust is down on Pepinero, but that's a dead Ralls. That's a dead Noxiak. Shia, sorry, Pepinero's arrived. Kori stuns up through with a petrifying gaze. Gets a second with a poison. It does tick away kill credit. Actually, was Jwaow up in the top lane onto Werlyb, so they've won that engage. At the end of the day, it's a 2 for 3. And Giants come out ahead, and Pepinero lands on the board with that double.
Got the double, yeah. So we just see an engaged top lane on Werlyb here. He's on his own. Horo joins, but that means the guys in the middle have to back away. Cannot stay that far forward if you have two guys invested into a fight in the top lane, and that's why they get engaged on. He obviously, it's a fairly straightforward, I guess, kill Werlyb. Not really gonna do a whole lot to stay alive. Even, oh, he did use his ulti, so he didn't save it, but
right at the beginning. Wasn't enough to get him away to Fisio, but very important to note, Kori stunning up 3. If he'd had the support of Horo, how different that middle lane fight could have been. Dragon secured for Giants. They are equal footing now, 2 for 2.
And we talk about how MYM has not really been moving forward at all. Here's why. Because whenever they do, and if they're not, 4 or 5 guys together, these kind of engages will happen every time. As soon as they get these 2 guys shows in the top lane, MYM has to back away from the mid, but they didn't, and that's why this engage happened. Kori is close to becoming the hero. He gets 1 kill, almost gets down Adryh as well, but just too many guys killing him here. Nice heal as well from Adryh.
I thought he was dead, but kill credit was, of course, there onto Werlyb in the top lane. Kori got shut down, but 3 members it took to try single him out. Unless Werlyb plus Frederick can single out Kori very early on, the professional quote from Deficio, he will wreck face.
Yes, sir. He will. I mean, that was a 1v4, and he at least got 1 kill.
Ridiculous.
So his damage is pretty crazy at the moment. It's not like Pepinero and Adryh is going to have a lot to defend themselves against him.
370 stacks on that aspect of the Serpent. An additional 40 AP at this stage, continuing to grow. 30 minutes on the clock, 10 kills to 7. Even on towers, even on dragons. 1,000 gold at this point. It's even on gold, effectively. And again, it's just coming to these team fights. We might see a good, old-school European tiebreaker Baron dance in the not-too-distant future. I believe, Deficio, we're going back to our roots. We being
it's what we all love. Now, Werlyb, there's the first TP home guard.
Let's see what he can do. He's trying to shut down MrRalleZ. That's a massive hit with the Rampage. Horo instantly disintegrates. Now MrRalleZ is shut down by the Rampage. MYM are in full retreat. Jwaow is burning away. Kori does get a kill. They've traded 1 for 1 as Werlyb is shut down by the Battle Pig. It's a 1 for 2. Giants, despite looking like that was in their favor, unable to close it out.
Yeah, I didn't get to see what happened with the rest of Giants, but Werlyb did his job. He got to the backline. He solos the AD carries. Let's see the rest of the team. They're all 4 here from Giants. MYM grouped up as well. Engage coming in. All the damage on Noxiak at first, and then Horo, he turns around here. It's just Kori doing so much damage to them. Jwaow diving in the backline after even staying alive. And they simply couldn't get to Kori because the engage was used on MrRalleZ. He's not the guy dealing the most damage at the moment. You've got to get to Kori every single time.
Once again, Giants engage a fight and get punished for it. It's like 4 out of 5 fights this game. MYM has been able to bounce back. Nothing really changed in terms of control. Did not result in more objectives, did not result in a lot more map presence. Vision heavily in favor of MYM.
For now, yeah.
Towards the Dragon.
Nothing really to fight for because Dragon is not here. So these wards are going to disappear before the Dragon spawns. And we're going to have the same focus. Again, Dragon respawns. 2 teams fighting for Vision. Giants has to be the one to engage. Have to try and kill Kori, who has flash ready. Distortion enchant as well for him. So a lot of focus on mobility for him. I was about to say he's very fast, but still needs to pop that ghost. Second time Horror comes top lane. Him and Jwaow trying to set something up. Lantern for Pepinero though. They keep using Jwaow to kind of sit and clear the waves. He's not really been split pushing. He's just been holding the waves, and then in case someone is overextending from Giants, he goes for the kill with Horror. Otherwise he just sits back, and he's just going to become a big tank in the fights. He's never going to become, you know, as tanky because he got that Hex Stringer for him. But his job is basically going to be soak up damage.
Well, you got to give some props to Jwaow. He managed to pull so many members of Giants in that previous team fight in the river. Put a lot of damage down onto Adryh as well. And managed to survive the engage. Hourglasses on both of the respective mid laners. Phantom Dancer, Last Whisper for MrRalleZ. Adryh's got that wave clear, another BF sword to back it up. And you're going to have an explosive fight shortly. 1 minute 20 until Dragon. All of those wards from Giants have timed in the river. Still a pink ward in the pit and a pink ward near the Wraith camp in favor of MeetYourMakers.
We've gotten to that point in the game now where you also obviously need Vision on Baron, because otherwise the other team can just go for it if you go Dragon and like trade objectives. And because you have 2 dragons each, that's obviously heavily in favor of the team getting the Baron. So you gotta have a ward at least placed over there. You can see Giants already has 1, MYM have a few placed around it. We're gonna have another fight over this Dragon, or we're gonna have a bait where the other team takes the Baron. That's gonna be the next objective. There's no teleport for Werlyb. He really needs to... Oh, Pepinero's jumping in.
Spirit Rush is only gonna connect with a Charm on Noxiak, and that's a lot of threat removed.
Yeah, that's a massive cooldown gone.
Werlyb is miles away with no teleport available. MeetYourMakers have started off this Baron, and with this Cassiopeia throwing out the Twin Fangs, that is being melted so quickly. Yeah, on the hunt is thrown out there by Adryh. Frederick is engaged onto Horror. Horror's taking a lot of damage. Here comes Werlyb. Onslaught of Shadows over the wall. Noxiak is down. Baron secured by Giants as we see Frederick is now taken down in reply. Kori's golden, but he's gonna get dropped. Flashed over the wall, trying to get out in retreat. 3 members of MeetYourMakers down to the 1 from Giants. Baron was secured by the Spanish Armada and Werlyb. He's hopping, he's skipping, he's trotting in. Kori's out of mana and in retreat. All of a sudden, MeetYourMakers' play has backfired, and they pull a Giants move in this game.
That was just supposed to be like a bait for MeetYourMakers to force a fight after Ahri had used her ulti, and they were supposed to back away after and fight out in the open, but they stayed on that Baron here. Frederick, we've seen it time and time again. The guy is so good at smiting these objectives here. He got the Baron for his team. They got some more kills. Will get a Dragon. Suddenly MeetYourMakers, despite looking to be in a very good position, stayed on that Baron, gave it over to Giants, lose Dragon, quick, well, massive advantage now for Giants.
What a change in gameplay. The first really decisive move from MeetYourMakers backfires horribly. Werlyb made it into the pit, arguably just in time. And Frederick, of course, trying to put all the damage and pressure onto Horror Sejuani.
Yeah, but again, the whole plan for MYM was supposed to be start Baron, don't kill it. Start it, they come, we peel, we fight, they have no Ahri ulti, we're gonna win that fight. I'm not sure if they got surprised about their own damage, because they poked it down so low, they had to try and smite it. And that's where Giants simply got the lead. You saw Horror staying in the pit, you know, taking all the damage, trying to be in range for his own smite. Really just backfired for them. Giants is a team who's time and time again managed to come back simply by stealing Barons or get like 1 crazy good team fight in the late game. They just got another one.
Up until 2.5 weeks ago, Giants were the #9 team in Europe, and it was MeetYourMakers that held the bottom spots for a much longer period of time. Giants have been struggling in the most recent weeks. Now, in the game that is the most important of the split for both of these teams, it's Giants with Baron buff, Giants with a Dragon advantage, a Tower advantage. And they are the ones looking to make plays. Teleport available for Werlyb. 1 or 2 more hits on this tower is all it will take. That Baron-empowered siege minions, 2 of them in fact, firing away.
Werlyb in mid lane too. Pushing 2 lanes at once here with the minions getting the towers. Jwaow trying to get a flank.
Looks like he's going to pull away Frederick and Werlyb. Noxiak unable to get anything with that Winter's Bite. The rest of Giants shove the minion wave into the top lane. And as a group, the entire team now moving away. Middle lane cleared out by Kori and MrRalleZ. But big minion wave in the bottom lane and a juicy Brambleback to take for Werlyb. Another tower available if they want it.
Yeah, I think we're just going to reset. Baron buff is gone for them. Werlyb can just push in this one and then back away as well. Look at the gold here. MeetYourMakers for such a long time had the lead. And then you see that one play around the Baron. And Giants full control, got a few towers from it. Obviously got the 3rd dragon, so once the next one spawn here, we're getting very close to the 5th dragon. We're going later and later into the game where you can start to really feel like it's just pointless. Like if you really fall far behind and you know how much this game means, it's so tough to stay focused because you know what's going to happen if you do lose. And once you start falling behind here, it's really hard for players. That's why you need like a good shot call, a good captain, just telling everyone we can still do it. Wonder who it is on MeetYourMakers. Maybe Noxiak.
Well, he was the man. That was a flash death sentence straight with Jwaow. Well, not the end of the world. You prefer the flash down on your enemy top laner. Look at the grouping. Frederick's a little late to this fight. Pepinero does take that lantern to safety. We'll need to find out what Giants can do just to wrap up that gold graph. What was a 2,000 gold lead is now a 5,000 gold deficit. Giants with that Baron have swung 7,000 gold. A couple of towers, a dragon. Still playing very respectful of MeetYourMakers. You know, just as that bottom lane shenanigans was rolling out, Giants actually just instantly peeled away. They realized it wasn't the fight for them.
Yeah, I feel like they want to dive yet clearly on MeetYourMakers. They can still just wait for these dragons and get the fights around them where Werlyb can sit in base and TP in. And I don't really blame them because Giants has been burned quite a few times already whenever they try and go a little bit too aggressive. So obviously you just want to play really safe now. I think Kori just hit 500 stacks. Let's see his AP now. 800, 40 minutes in. Yeah, only 800. Come on, Kori.
Well, Twin Fang hitting for about 400 damage before mitigation. 428 CS. It has to be on Kori.
Werlyb is in base now. They might try and go for a dive here or try and bait a fight.
Jwaow, he eats a charm. That's a lot of damage coming down. Teleport not channeled yet from Werlyb to Fisio.
No, there's no real deep wards for him to TP on. So there's a few in the jungle, obviously, but not anything where MYM won't be able to spot him.
Could TP to the bush when Frederick's standing.
He's sitting ready for it. He wants MeetYourMakers to get... No, he's running out of base now, so clearly...
Teleport from behind with
Jwaow.
Jwaow.
Now he didn't. No home guard for Hecarim.
Oh, Hecarim's going to be in the wrong place. Teleport was in fact cancelled. Jwaow did TP in, so that's going to be a small advantage to Werlyb on timing, but Pepinero, a little bit of danger zone. Grabs the lantern to safety once more. Werlyb pushing up the middle lane.
This does open up again for MYM to fight around the dragon now. I don't have to worry about the Hecarim coming in from the side. Obviously Baron up into 30 seconds as well. This might be a bit of a long game, but really so much on the line for both teams.
Let's see, of course, Pepinero picking up that MrRalleZ Crystal Scepter a little earlier. What would you consider a standard item on Ahri, but that was survivability against all that burst that MYM are putting out. And we're getting closer and closer to 5, 6 items across the board. Giants still with the 5,000 gold lead, but they've lost
MYM has no ward on Baron here. They need a ward on Baron if they want to go dragon. and then you just put down either Kori or MrRalleZ to solo that dragon, while the other 4 keeps Giants away from taking Baron. But because there's a few wards from Giants here, it won't really happen, and both teams now stuck in this mid lane, waiting for the opening. Nobody's gonna split up. No TP for Werlyb or Jwaow. So suddenly starting a fight is gonna be a bit harder for Giants. Gonna have to rely on Frederick, or of course Werlyb getting into a good position. They're going down to Dragon now. Got a ward placed on Baron as well.
Well, we're 42 minutes in, and MeetYourMakers, I think it's fair to say, have not started a big fight of their own accord. The only thing they did start was that Baron play earlier, and it backfired. Oro had a couple of good ganks during the laning phase, but that is long since gone. Adryh getting those crits off on the Dragon. MeetYourMakers grouped up as 5 Giants, trying to surround them, trying to engage. They will do it far too late. And that hesitation allows MeetYourMakers to even out the Dragons. 3 to 3.
Frederick, they're going!
There goes Werlyb, onslaught to Shadows. He's in deep. Charm catches onto Horo, and Werlyb is going to take the Lantern to safety. Kori, rather. He's low on mana. Nobody's gone down yet. Pepe does get in with that Spirit Rush. They traded back and forth, a lot of ultimates, but no kills on the board.
No kills now. MYM managed to disengage at first. Frederick didn't even find a target for himself. A lot of things being used. We reset the whole thing again. And now we play around the Baron vision for the next fight. Not a whole lot else they can do. I mean, if you start going into a siege position for Giants here, fairly low range on the Sivir, you can't get a proper flank with your Hecarim, which means you get in a pretty bad situation to fight in, so they're obviously not going to do that. If you go into split pushing at this point here, well, you need TP ready at first, and also Irelia can do fine in the one-on-one against the Hecarim, so you're not going to win that fight either. And it's very predictable for MYM when Giants wants to engage them, because then Hecarim obviously just leaves the lane, goes back to base, and they're like, okay, engage is about to happen. So Giants doesn't really have any other way than try and get a hard engage on.
Well, Giants have got the teleport advantage in a few seconds' time. You can see Werlyb is backed. A couple of visions, or wards rather, around the Baron pit. Noxiak eats a charm. And nobody's going to continue further. That Unbreakable Shield blocks so much damage. You know, it's a little harsh, but you can really see the number 9 and number 10 team in the European LCS battling out. No clear advantage. Vault Breaker was charged by Frederick. Learned his lesson. Once bitten, twice shy. Charm connects on
TP coming. This might be the fight.
Let's see what can happen. We do see Assault and Battery all the way onto MrRalleZ. They're split up. Frederick is pulling the attention. Onslaught will be enough to take down Noxiak. MrRalleZ is in full retreat. Werlyb is trying to run him down. Rampage all the way through with Kori down. This might be the fight that wins it. Giants have taken 4 for no loss. And all of a sudden, the Spanish squad erupts. They're onto the inhibitor turret in 60-second death time as Giants set their sights on the win.
They were just waiting for that right moment to engage for MYM to walk up the mid lane. And this Hecarim late game is so strong. MrRalleZ couldn't do anything on his own.
Giants come back from the brink, taking out MeetYourMakers, and will earn themselves the 9th place in the spring split. Starts, it ends as it started for MeetYourMakers. Disappointing. 10th position. Automatic relegation to the Challenger Series.
And of course for Giants now, they're in the promotion tournament together with Rocket. And we'll find out who they will face later on as the Challenger Series wraps up here. Remember, of course, the winner of the Challenger Series goes straight into the LCS, replacing MeetYourMakers. So, congratulations to Giants. They played some very good team fights here in the end of the game. Got burned a little bit in the start, but they were just waiting for that right moment here. Played super patient, didn't, you know, risk anything. And then they got the fight they wanted.
The proactive team comes out victorious. I think if you review most of that game, you feel just like your Marta Cannon at the moment. MeetYourMakers unable to exert any sort of real control. I'll be going back and asking questions about that Baron attempt.
Yeah.
that Giants were able to turn around.
That was really the big deal. MYM made the right call, starting that Baron after Ahri had popped the ulti, but that was just, you don't even have to start it, honestly. You can even just stand in the pit, clear the ward, and don't even start the Baron itself, just to force that fight. And really, that's where it went so wrong for them. That's where it really fell behind. And it's tough. I mean,
It really is tough.
You have to wonder if MYM had made, you know, the correct changes earlier in the split. Would have been different. Would have picked up another win. We can never really say too much about it, but it's been 18 games getting to this point.
Correct.
Yes, this was the best out of one, but it's been 18 games leading to this point.
Yep.
And these were the two teams who ended up in the bottom of the standings. That's why they face each other. That's why you get in this situation in the first place, where if you lose, you're out of the LCS.
And you look at Giants, all of a sudden playing super aggressive, super all-in. Both games today, much more convincing match one. Still aggressive game
Hecarim
two,
for Werlyb,
but
man.
it worked.
That pick was so good,
worked.
and it wasn't banned away, despite him doing so well early on. I mean, this guy deserves at least an OP5 for his performance on Hecarim.
Very, very well played from the Giants. They do give themselves one more chance. They need to re-qualify. It's going to be difficult because, of course, Giants barely made it through in the expansion tournament at the end of last year. They beat out Reason Gaming at the time, both during the first elimination and then, of course, in the second round as well. They're going to have to try and play a little bit better because the Challenger Series is looking particularly impressive. Some of those squads, you remove Origin, who you're assuming are going to win the whole thing. It's going to be tough. Not a guarantee, but they've at least given themselves a shot.
Yeah, and that's an important one, that now you can prepare for this one. Obviously going to be quite a few weeks. We're going to finish our playoffs here, and then it's going to be the week after the spring finals. We have the promotion tournament where Giants and Rocket will be playing.
Wow. For a closer look at Giants